Hello, my name is Kevin Craig. I'm from the UK and I'm a member of EO Bahrain in the Middle East. And I'm been a member of EO since 2012 and I'm also an EO forum facilitator. So I'm going to share with you today the cornerstone of vulnerability. Vulnerability is one of the 4 cornerstones of forum. So going into vulnerability, what is it? Well, it's got 3 component parts. One is the 5%, which we're going to go into in depth in just a minute. Secondly, it's leaving ego at the door. And thirdly, it's sharing from a place of self-disclosure that really builds trust with your fellow forum buddies. So let's work backwards. Building trust with your fellow forum buddies through that self-disclosure. So when I'm disclosing about self, this isn't something that I've pre-rehearsed and I come and just press play in forum. So when I'm disclosing at this level, it's often stuff is percolating, stuff is formulating as I'm speaking, and I actually don't know where it's going. And that's this element of really being vulnerable because I haven't got it all figured out. I'm just sharing as I go. And that's what actually builds trust with our forum because I'm not the perfect version. This is what I'm figuring out as I'm going through and unpacking it in that moment. So share at a level that is your best level of peeling back those layers and self-disclosure that is vulnerable to who you are and that really builds trust with your fellow forum buddies. Secondly, leave the ego at the door. There is no room for ego around a forum table. We are EO, not ego, right? The G in ego goes in EO. So really, bring your full, transparent, authentic self to the table. If I'm sharing from a place of ego, it's about me looking good and I've got to perform. To be honest, I'd not got 4 hours of my months to waste with other fellow forum buddies looking good around a table. I've got better things to do with my life. So really, I encourage you to leave your ego at the door because I'll leave my ego at the door being your fellow forum buddy and I'll be my authentic, real self as I show up in front of you. So really, ego at the door. And then third is this concept of 5%. Now you've seen this 5% in forum training. So a quick recap. Here we have our 90% in the middle, and here we've got all the various people we can speak to in this range, right? You've got suppliers, customers, you name it, they're all part of this place in the middle. And then we've got our 5% either side. And the objective here in this 5% is that we're sharing, and we only share so much with these people on our list when we're talking about sharing our best and sharing our worst. And you would have covered this in your forum training. And so where do we bring these parts of our conversations to in our life? Where do we bring these 5% conversations? You're absolutely right. It is forum. So when I spend 4 hours every month with my forum buddies, I personally don't want to hear about this stuff in the middle. I want to hear about this 5% either side, the best and the worst that's happening. Now, we have our social element before we start our formal forum meeting when we can talk about this stuff as part of our catch-up. It's not that I'm disinterested in this, but this is not forum content. This is forum content and forum worthy. So when I'm personally completing my 5% reflections for the month, I'm asking myself, is this really my 5%? Or would I have taken this to these other people? If I would have taken this or shared that element to these other people, it's not forum worthy. So that's how I kind of calibrate, what stays on my 5% reflection form and what kind of do I need to dig a little bit deeper for. But let me go into this a little bit deeper level, because I'm often asked one thing is, I've just had an average month. I've not got a 5% thing that's happened this month. And let's face it, we don't have people die. We may not have people that are born. We may not suffer from frauds. We may not suffer from bankruptcies every month. So in a pretty average month, and let's face it, we have those average months. What happens when I've got to present my 5% reflections And I've not had one of those, what I call a big ticket event happen in my life. So this is where we need to do our work as forum buddies and actually journey inside, because often it's quite easy to find a 5% when we've had a big ticket item happen in our month. But what if we've just had an average month? So the circumstance of my 5% best was a holiday with my father. Now, in all honesty, does that sound like a 5%? No, not on the face of it. And that's what some people bring to their forum when they're sharing their 5% reflections. Oh, I had holiday with my father. I felt happy, I felt glad, I felt, relieved, and I felt loved. And that's what they will end up sharing in their monthly reflections. But our job as forum buddies is to dive deeper into what was really significant and impactful. And here's the tip I give you. Like when you're moving in this direction, be peeling back the layers and ask yourself, so what, a few times. So what, not from a place of judgment, but so what to peel back the layers. So let me share with you my thought process that I went to find my 5% of my holiday with my father. So I was on holiday with my father. My mother had passed away a couple of years ago, and my mother was always at the front of my parental relationship. So with her now gone, it was just my father and I. So on our holiday, we bonded at a closer level. Am I at my 5% yet? No, these people know I went on holiday, and these people know I bonded at a closer level. So let me ask myself, so what? Around the significance and impact. So the significance and impact of me bonding at a closer level with my father, I saw a different side of my father that I'd never actually seen before. Am I moving in the direction of 5%? Sure. Am I there yet? I've still got more work to do to get to that 5%. So let me ask myself, so what again? So what's the impact and significance of me, bonding with my father at a close level and seeing a side of him that I've never seen before? Well, actually, when I dig really deep around that, and it was not until I got on the flight on the way home from our holiday together, that I actually realized I'd met him for the first time. Now I'm 44 now, and this was happening last year. And my 5% insight and reflection was that 43 years and I meet my father. And that really, whilst my feelings were, privileged, grateful, there was a piece of me that was sad and disappointed. And the impact of me going to this 5% is that when I have kids, I don't want them to be middle-aged and only meet me for the first time. And so this is how in Forum we share our vulnerability and we actually go to those places so that we can be better versions of who we are. And that's what this 5% Reflections is all about.